It all started when I was 12. My brother, always acting like he knew everything, dragged me to this busted carnival on the edge of town. You know the type. Run down, sketchy as hell, probably hadn't passed a safety inspection in years. The second we got there, the smell hit me like a wall. Burnt popcorn and piss. Yeah, real classy joint. He was laughing the whole time like it was the funniest thing in the world, calling me a wimp. Said we should check out the freak show tent, because according to him, that's where the real fun was. He had this stupid grin, like he already knew it was going to freak me out, and honestly, he was right. So we head into this tent, and there he is, the clown. Not the regular kind, nah. This one had his face all cracked, like the paint had been there for years, peeling off like old wallpaper. And the smile, way too big. Like someone had stretched it out and then just left it stuck that way. The worst part was his eyes, though. Dead. Not a single hint of emotion in them. They just stared through me, like I wasn't even there. My stomach twisted. I nudged my brother, told him something was off, but he just shoved me forward, like I was being stupid. Typical. The clown started juggling, flipping knives like it was no big deal. But the whole time, he's just staring at me. Not the crowd, not anyone else. Just me. My skin started crawling, and I was already thinking about how fast I could get the hell out of there. But my brother, laughing his head off like an idiot. Then everything changed. The clown stopped juggling. Just stopped. And then pointed right at me. The whole place went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Even my brother, who couldn't shut up for more than 2 seconds, was quiet. That's when I knew we were in real trouble. The clown called me up to the stage. I didn't want to go. I mean, who would? But I couldn't run. I'd never hear the end of it from my brother if I did, so I forced myself to step forward. My heart was pounding in my chest like it was trying to escape. When I got up there, the clown handed me a knife. A real one. Cold and heavy. The kind that could do some serious damage. I just stood there staring at it, completely lost. What the hell was I supposed to do with this? The crowd started shifting around, whispering to each other like they were waiting for something to happen. The clown leaned in close, and his breath, man, it smelled like something had died in his mouth. He whispered in my ear, "You ever wonder what it feels like to cut someone open?" I froze. My whole body went numb, like I couldn't even process what he'd just said. I looked at the crowd, hoping someone would step in, stop this, but no one moved, not a single person. My brother just sat there, staring, like he was in a trance. And the clown? His smile got wider, like he was enjoying every second of it. The knife in my hand felt like it was getting heavier and heavier, like it was pulling me down, like it wanted me to do something I didn't want to do. My stomach turned, and for a second, I thought I was going to be sick. Then, I ran. I didn't even think about it. I just bolted, straight out of that tent. My heart felt like it was going to explode, and I didn't stop running until I was outside, gasping for air. My brother caught up to me, called me a loser, said I overreacted, like it was just some big joke. But I couldn't shake it. The way the clown looked at me, the way he whispered those words. It felt real. Too real. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that clown's face, his cracked paint, his dead eyes, and that knife. I kept seeing that knife in my hand, hearing his voice asking me that question over and over again. I couldn't stop thinking about it, no matter how hard I tried. A week later, I saw his face on the news. That same clown got arrested for stabbing some guy in the next town over. I felt sick when I saw his mugshot. It was him. The same cracked paint, the same dead eyes. My stomach twisted into knots. For years I tried to forget about it, chalk it up to some freaky coincidence, but every now and then, that memory would pop back into my head, like an itch I couldn't scratch. I'd see his face in my nightmares, hear his voice. It was like he'd wormed his way into my brain and I couldn't shake him. Then, one night, years later, my brother and I were hanging out again, just drinking beer and talking like old times. That's when he brought it up, out of nowhere. "Remember that clown?" he asked, like it was some funny childhood story. I felt the blood drain from my face. I told him to drop it, but he wouldn't. He kept laughing, asking if I still had nightmares about that clown, if I still thought about the knife. But then something shifted. He stopped laughing and his face got real serious. "You know," he said, "sometimes I still think about that day too, but not because of the clown." He told me something I'd never heard before. After I ran out of the tent, the clown looked right at him, said the clown's smile dropped, and his eyes, those dead, flat eyes, locked onto him, like he was next. He said he'd never felt that kind of fear before, like he was being marked or something. It hit me then, like a punch to the gut. It wasn't just me who felt off about that day. My brother had been scared too, but he hid it behind all his jokes, behind all his laughter. And the more he talked, the more I realized something. It wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The conversation spiraled. The more we talked, the more details started changing. Things I was sure of, like the knives. My brother didn't remember them. He swore the clown wasn't even juggling at first, just standing there, waiting, like he was sizing us up. I thought he was messing with me, but the way he said it, I don't know, it made me question my own memory. I kept seeing those knives in my head, flashing silver, the way the clown flipped them, like they weighed nothing. But my brother kept shaking his head, telling me I had it all wrong. Said it wasn't knives at all. He remembered chains. Something sharp, but not knives. Everything felt warped, like we were both remembering the same event, but through two different lenses. It was driving me nuts. We decided to go back to that carnival. It had been years, but we figured maybe if we saw the place again, it would jog something loose, maybe give us some kind of closure. So, we drove out there, back to that edge of town. But when we got there, nothing. The place was gone. No busted rides, no freak show tents, nothing. Just an empty field, like it had never existed. I felt my skin crawl. My brother tried laughing it off, saying maybe the place got torn down, but I couldn't shake it. Something was wrong. We'd missed something. I kept looking around like I'd find a clue, but there was nothing, just empty space. That night I had another dream about the clown, except this time it wasn't just him looking at me from a stage. He was in my house, standing at the foot of my bed, his smile just as dead and cracked as ever. I could feel his eyes on me, but I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. It was like I was trapped in my own body, and all I could do was watch him standing there, waiting for something. I called my brother the next morning. He sounded weird, off, like he hadn't slept. When I asked him what was up, he told me he had the same dream, the exact same dream. The clown, in his room, just standing there, staring at him. Neither of us laughed this time. It wasn't funny anymore. We started seeing things, little things at first. Shadows out of the corner of our eyes, doors that creaked open by themselves. It was easy to brush off at first. Old houses, bad lighting, but then it got worse. One night, my brother called me, his voice shaking. He said he saw the clown again. Not in a dream this time. He said the clown was standing outside his window, staring at him. I thought he was messing with me. But then it happened to me too. I was in the kitchen just doing normal stuff when I felt something, like I was being watched. I looked out the window, and there he was, the clown, just standing there, not moving, just staring with that same wide, cracked grin. I froze. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. We couldn't take it anymore. We decided to meet up, figure out what the hell was going on. Something wasn't right. This wasn't normal. We needed to put a stop to it before it got worse, before it drove us both insane. We did some digging and found out there was another freak show coming to town. Same vibe, same setup. My stomach dropped the second I read about it. My brother went pale. We knew we had to check it out. Maybe this was it. Maybe we could end it. When we got there, it was like déjà vu. The tent, the smell. Everything was exactly like it had been all those years ago. Even the air felt the same. Thick, oily. And inside, there he was, the clown. But this time, he wasn't performing. There was no crowd, no tricks. Just him. Standing there, waiting for us. His smile stretched across his face like before. My heart pounded in my ears, but I couldn't look away. My brother stood frozen beside me. The clown didn't say a word. He just motioned for us to come closer. My brother hesitated, but I felt something pulling me forward, like I had no choice, like my feet were moving on their own. I didn't want to go, but I couldn't stop myself. He handed me a knife, the same as before, cold, heavy. But this time, it felt different, like it was made for me, like I was supposed to do something with it. I could feel it in my bones. The clown pointed at my brother, and suddenly I wanted to do it, to cut him, just to see what it felt like. The thought wasn't mine, but it was so strong I could barely fight it. My hand tightened around the knife. My brother was just standing there, wide-eyed, like he knew what I was thinking. He wasn't laughing anymore. He was waiting for me to make a move. But then the clown's smile faded. His face twisted into something else, something angry. And now he was pointing the knife at me. I felt a chill run down my spine. I snapped out of it, dropped the knife. My brother and I bolted out of the tent, running as fast as we could. When we looked back, the tent was gone, collapsed like it had never been there. We never spoke about it again. But I know one thing for sure. That clown is still out there, still waiting. Story 2. I'm standing there at this stupid kid's birthday party. Yeah, my cousin's kid, the one I barely know. But you gotta show up to these things, right? I'm already regretting it the second I step into that park. It's a mess. Rusted swings, trash cans overflowing, and the grass, if you can call it grass, mostly dirt with some weeds thrown in. My cousin thought this would be the perfect spot for a party. Guess that says a lot about how they think. I'm standing off to the side watching all these dumb kids running around like maniacs, and I'm thinking about how much I don't want to be here. But it gets worse. Way worse. The clown, yeah, the one my cousin hired to make it fun, is late as hell. The parents are grumbling, kids getting restless, and I'm just waiting for something to happen. And then he shows up. I knew right away something was off. He stumbles out of this beat-up old car, makeup smeared like he rolled out of bed, and thought, yeah, this'll do. He's not even wearing the big shoes. Sneakers. Sneakers on a clown. That's when it hit me. This guy isn't right. You see a clown in sneakers, and your gut just tells you something's wrong up top. But hey, no one else seems to care. He starts pulling out balloons, twisting them into these pathetic shapes. Barely even animals. They look like sad snakes. And the kids? They're eating it up, cheering like he's some kind of balloon genius. I'm just watching, thinking, how dumb can they be? But the parents are all doing that awkward smile thing like, is this it? Really? Then it starts getting weird. Dark. Like really dark. He's cracking these jokes, talking about how he's seen better parties in graveyards. The adults start shifting, but no one says anything. Just awkward glances, like we're all silently agreeing to pretend this isn't happening. And then this dude pulls out a balloon, blows it up nice and slow, and twists it into a noose. Yeah, a noose. Hands it to this little girl, like it's nothing, and says, here, hold on to this. Might need it later. The whole party just freezes. Dead silence. Even the kids, who a second ago were hyped up on sugar and balloon animals, stop dead. The little girl just stares at him, confused. Hell, we're all staring now. Then Mike, my cousin's husband, this big jock who thinks he's the toughest guy in the world, marches over. He's not having it. Grabs the clown by the shirt, pulls him in, and tells him to get out. But the clown? He doesn't even flinch, just stares at Mike like he's waiting for him to do something. And then, without a word, the clown pulls out this loud-ass honking horn from who knows where and blasts it right in Mike's face. It's so loud it startles everyone, including me. Mike snaps. He loses it, grabs the clown by the collar and starts dragging him toward the parking lot, and I'm thinking, good, maybe this idiot will get what's coming to him. The kids are watching with wide eyes, and some of the dads, yeah, the ones who've been acting like they're too cool to care, are starting to look uneasy. They try to play it off, but no one wants to touch this clown. There's something about him, something off, like we're all afraid he's going to do something worse if we push him. Then the cops show up. Turns out someone, probably one of the nervous parents, called them after the whole noose incident. The clown is just standing there by his piece of crap car, calm as anything. He doesn't run, doesn't try to get away, just stands there, almost like he was waiting for this. The cops search his car, and that's when they find it. A knife. A long, clean knife, wrapped up in some old rag like it's been prepped for something. When they pull it out, you can feel the shift in the air. Everyone's too shocked to say anything. We all knew something was wrong, but this was a whole new level of messed up. They cuff him, and the clown just goes with them. No struggle, no yelling, nothing. He keeps smiling the whole time. That creepy, dead-eyed smile. They shove him into the back of the squad car, and the parents are all huddled together, whispering like they're trying to make sense of what just happened, but nobody knows what to say. As the car drives away, I see the clown looking at me through the window, still grinning like he knows something I don't. And that's when I feel it, that gut feeling I couldn't shake. This whole thing, it's not over. Not even close. It was like the whole party took a breath again after the cops drove off with the clown, but something inside me wasn't right. That smile. The way he stared at me like he knew something. It stuck in my head long after the cake was cut and the kids went home. I didn't say anything, just left, but a week later, the rumors started. Somebody mentioned that this clown wasn't just a random guy. You'd think a guy like that, no makeup skills, sneakers on, was just some loser trying to make a quick buck. But no. Turns out, there's talk he'd been involved in some weird stuff before. Something about a watch list. It was vague, but you know how these things go. You never get the full story, just whispers. And whispers are enough to keep you up at night. Mike, that dumb jock who handled the situation? Yeah, he's been walking around like he's some big hero, bragging to anyone who'll listen. But here's the thing. He's not as cool as he's pretending to be. I see it in him. He's jumpy. Keeps looking over his shoulder like he's expecting the clown to come back. And I can't blame him because I feel it too. Then, it starts. My cousin's kid, the one whose party it was, starts having nightmares. Every night, screaming about the clown, saying he's standing in her room, just watching. Everyone says it's just a kid's imagination, right? But no. This is too specific, too real. And when a kid's screaming like that, you start to wonder if it's more than just dreams. I get a call from my cousin one night. She's whispering, trying to keep her voice down, but I can tell she's freaked out. Says Mike's been acting strange, waking up in the middle of the night, sweating, saying he hears honking, like that damn clown's horn. I tell her he's just paranoid, but honestly, I'm not sure I believe that myself. Something's off. I can feel it too. I'm walking home one night thinking about all this clown crap, and that's when I hear it. Faint, but clear. A honking sound. I freeze. My heart jumps into my throat. I look around. Nothing. Empty street, nothing but the wind and the streetlights, but I swear to God, I heard it. I know I did. My heart's racing and I practically run the rest of the way home. Next morning, there's a balloon on my doorstep, twisted into the shape of a noose, just like the one the clown gave that little girl at the party. My stomach drops. I pop the balloon and pretend it's nothing, but I can't shake it. Inside, I'm freaking out. What does this mean? Why me? I try to tell myself it's just some stupid prank, but then Mike calls me. He's not laughing anymore. Says he found the same balloon hanging from his car mirror. That's when it gets real. He's scared. And now, so am I. We go to the cops. We tell them about the balloons, the noose, the honking. They think it's a joke. No one takes a balloon seriously, but we know better. We know this is connected to that clown. But we can't prove it. That night, I hear the honking again. This time, it's louder. Like it's coming from right outside my window. I don't even look. I just lock the doors, sit on the couch, and wait. My heart's pounding. My head's spinning. Every sound makes me jump. But nothing happens. Days go by, no balloons, no honking. But I can't relax. I'm constantly on edge. My cousin calls again. Says they're taking their kid to see a therapist because she won't stop talking about the clown. Says he's still coming to her at night, watching. One night, there's a knock on my door. It's late. Way too late for anyone to be knocking. I check the peephole. Nothing. But when I open the door, there's a balloon on my porch. Just sitting there, tied to the railing. I pop it, like I've been doing, but this time there's something inside. A piece of paper. It says one word. Soon. I don't sleep that night. I can't stop thinking about what this clown wants. Why me? Why Mike? What did we do? It doesn't make sense, but it feels personal now, like he's targeting us for some reason. Mike's losing it. He won't go out at night anymore. Keeps his doors locked. Won't let his kid out of his sight. He tells me he's thinking about leaving town, but he's afraid the clown will follow him. I don't blame him. I'd leave too, but where would I go? We go back to the cops, show them the balloons, the notes. This time they start taking it seriously. But it's still just balloons and notes. No crime, no real evidence. Then everything stops. The honking, the balloons, it all just stops. For a while things feel normal again, but it's too quiet. I don't trust it. Just when I start to think maybe it's over, Mike disappears. Gone. No word, no trace. His car's still in the driveway, but he's not in it. The cops open an investigation, but they don't find anything. He's just gone. Days turn into weeks. Still no sign of Mike. I start wondering if the clown took him. It sounds crazy, but nothing else makes sense. He just vanished without a trace. Then I get a message, a photo sent to my phone. It's Mike. He's tied up, wearing a clown costume, his mouth gagged. The caption says, "Your turn." I freak out, go to the cops, show them the message, but it's untraceable. No way to figure out where it came from or who sent it. But I know. I know it's the clown. I don't leave my house for days, just waiting for something to happen. But nothing does. No honking, no balloons, no messages. Just this crushing silence. Then there's a knock on my door. Same as before. Late at night. I open it, and this time, there's no balloon. Just a note on the ground. It says, "Final act." I drive to my cousin's house, hoping they're still safe, but when I get there, the house is empty. My cousin, her husband, the kid, all gone. No sign of them. The cops do a full investigation, but they don't find anything. No signs of struggle, no clues. It's like they just vanished. Just like Mike. I go home, and that's when I find it. A clown costume hanging in my closet. I didn't put it there. I don't know how it got there, but it's there, just waiting. Then I get a call. It's my cousin. She's whispering, telling me not to come looking for them. Says they're safe now, but they had to leave. I can't trust it. But what choice do I have? The last note arrives, pinned to my door. It just says, "Game over." No balloons, no honking. Just that simple message. I move out, leave everything behind, hoping this nightmare is finally over. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear it. That damn honking. And every time, I wonder if the clown's still out there, waiting for his next show.